This video was inspired by Carly Taylor, who is a badass animal activist and a true homie, and it's my wish that we'll someday be friends. But I felt the need to make this video and address a few things that Carly said on the Plant Proof podcast and elsewhere that are inaccurate. And it's certainly not just Carly. I hear these things all the time from vegans, so I wanted to just set the record straight. Number 1, animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change. This is one of the most pervasive myths I see being spread by well-intentioned vegans, but it's simply not true. The burning of fossil fuels is the leading cause of climate change by a long shot. The consensus among scientists is that animal agriculture is responsible for about 15% of greenhouse gas emissions. And this is still significant. But this 51% figure you see floating around the internet is a gross overestimation. The study that this came from is deeply flawed, and key variables were double counted. It's unfortunate that the producers of Cowspiracy didn't realize their mistake before releasing this film to the masses, but props to them for not only correcting this on their website, but releasing an updated version to Netflix, because now I can promote this documentary without hesitation, and it really is a great movie. It is, of course, easier to make a mess than it is to clean one up, so that's why you still see this 51% figure being shared as if it's fact. The environmental impact of animal agriculture is bad enough. We do not need to exaggerate statistics. It is very important to concede that fossil fuels are the leading cause of climate change, and that 100 companies are responsible for 71% of emissions. What we need is a political revolution to transform our energy systems and save ourselves from extinction. Because there will be no vegan world if we do not completely restructure our societies and essentially overthrow capitalism, because civilization as we know it will collapse. With all that said, going vegan is still an imperative to solving the climate crisis. What we should be focusing on in these climate change debates is the fact that changing your diet is the single biggest way that we as individuals can reduce our ecological footprint, because eating is something that we do 3 times a day. And although animal agriculture is not the primary driver of climate change, its contribution is not insignificant. As you may know from Cowspiracy, methane is an extremely potent greenhouse gas, and it lingers in the atmosphere for a shorter amount of time. So by reducing methane emissions, we would see tangible results immediately. Also, animal agriculture is the leading cause of Amazon destruction, and deforestation increases global temperatures, intensifying climate change. One of the most powerful facts regarding the environmental impact of animal agriculture is the fact that vegans use 50% less water than the average person. This is a big freaking deal, and it circles back to the sheer inefficiency of farming animals. Much more water is required for the irrigation of feed crops, and while irresponsible water use does not literally warm the planet, a warmer planet does lead to water scarcity, so we cannot afford to continue using our freshwater reserves so frivolously. You can also point out that our oceans are on the brink of collapse due to overfishing, and the literal shit from 56 billion land animals is a huge driver of ocean dead zones. But please stop saying that animal agriculture is the #1 cause of climate change, because it's simply not true, and it makes vegans appear less credible. Number 2, veganism is the solution to world hunger. People try to sell veganism as the solution to world hunger because we feed an enormous amount of our grain and soy to animals, and we could free up a lot of farmland and feed many more people if everyone were to shift to a plant-based diet. But presenting veganism as the solution is misleading, because animal agriculture is not the cause of world hunger. Even with our horrifically inefficient food system, we still produce enough food to feed the world, yet people still go hungry. The problem is that this food isn't distributed evenly, and our society is incredibly wasteful. Unregulated capitalism and political instability is the cause. Animal agriculture just adds insult to injury. By the way, it is hot as balls in my room right now, and I have to keep the blinds open so the sun shines through for good lighting. and can't turn my fan on because the noise will fuck up the audio quality. So if you see sweat literally dripping from my face, that's why. Moving on to number 3, we could eliminate heart disease if everyone went vegan. Heart disease is caused by eating too much saturated fat. This is an indisputable fact. While animal products are a major source of saturated fat in the Western diet, they're not the only source. Palm oil and coconut oil are extremely prevalent in processed foods, including processed vegan junk food. So unfortunately, we will still see cases of heart disease in a vegan world. Carly may have misspoke when she said this on the Plant Proof podcast, because I know she knows this, but I think it's important to reiterate that vegan does not equal healthy. And number 4, cats can thrive on a vegan diet. I may dedicate an entire video to this, but vegans should not be feeding their cats a vegan diet. Cats are obligate carnivores. They thrive on a meat-based diet. Standard processed cat food is unhealthy for cats, and so is processed vegan cat food. You are taking a huge risk with your cat's health, and in my opinion, that is not the vegan thing to do, as it is not in your cat's best interest. Is it sad that other animals have to die for your cat to live? Of course it's sad, but these animals are already here, and we either rescue them and care for them, or they get euthanized. Vegans are always arguing that humans are anatomically herbivorous. The ethical argument of veganism rests on the fact that it is unnecessary. But eating meat is necessary for carnivorous animals. Vegans also advocate for wildlife conservation, and this includes species such as whales, polar bears, lions, which are all obligate carnivores. So what's the difference between a lion hunting down a gazelle in the wild and a domesticated cat eating tuna under your roof? In both instances, one animal had to die for another animal to live. That is the circle of life. Humans hunting and farming animals when we do not need to is obviously not. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share it with anyone you know who has said these things before, because it's super important that we get our facts straight. Spreading misinformation with confidence leads to those who already agree with us to not bother to fact check us, and those who disagree with us to fact check us, find out that we were wrong, and then write us off. As always, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. The YouTube algorithm is all about engagement, so if you want me to reach more people with this message, help me out and comment.
Yo, how when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me no eat no fish, no meat now. How when me eat them, I wonder when me yam. When me tell them say that I'm a vegan man. How when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me no eat no fish, no